attention, please. Due to construction, the baggage claim ground transportation station elevators are out of service.
The next stop is for A gates. A as in Alpha. Please hold on. This train is stopping. Please collect your belongings and watch your step as you exit. Please remain on board for domestic baggage claim and ground transportation. Welcome aboard the plane train. Please hold on. This train is departing. The next stop is for domestic baggage claim and ground transportation. Please hold on. This train is stopping. Please collect your belongings and watch your step as you exit.
grow your beer, and we hope to see you again soon.
I can smell it. And just a little bit of garlic. I'm gonna keep folding it so it'll be nice and layered, a layered biscuit. All right, that's plenty of layer. I kind of want it to be kind of thick. Raggedy. Oh, that's thicker. That's it. That's by design. All right. Biscuits are ready for baking. They look pretty good, right? This is a really delicious meal. I wanted to come back on and round off my vlog in a way that felt authentic and final. I just took a COVID test, and finally the last test I took this morning showed that I no longer have COVID, which is excellent. Unfortunately, I still have a couple of symptoms. I still have a little bit of congestion in my chest, and I still get a little tired from normal things, but I'm no longer contagious, which is amazing. But I wanted to share something that came out of my experience of going through COVID, and I hope that no one ever has to go through this ever. My experience going through COVID really shed a light into how my body is digesting certain foods. And a couple weeks before I got sick, I was having these heartburn feelings from consuming beef. I typically will make burgers on the weekend. I'll add some onions, some green peppers, a little bit of paprika, onion, garlic to spice it up. And I will usually use a 96-98% lean beef because I want to enjoy a burger, but I also don't want the amount of fat that the unnecessary fat that comes with consuming beef. And I recently experienced heartburn after consuming the burgers that I had made. So me having these meals are not by definition unhealthy when you look at the nutritional facts of my meal, but I was still experiencing heartburn. And so I stopped eating beef for a couple of days, and I started experiencing that same heartburn when I was consuming chicken. Same thing, I get chicken breast, I take all the fat off of it. I don't use any sodium when I cook my chicken. It's pretty basic. I use poppy seed, sesame seeds. I use garlic and onions on my chicken. So I make an everything bagel spice without the sodium or the salt. So it's a pretty low sodium, low fat meal again. And it wasn't until COVID that I started to no longer desire having meat in my meal because my body was healing, and I just felt that I didn't need the extra effort my body would require in order to digest chicken or beef or any other meat for that reason. And so I've been really challenging myself to consume less meat. And I actually also had an experience. I wasn't planning on this happening, but I was near we'll just say I was near a stove, and someone turned on their stove, and the stove gave off this rancid smell of, and I can't describe this any other way, but of rotting corpses, of rotting meat. And I was just so turned off by that smell. I also knew it was the smell of like beef and chicken and like poultry and things like that. I knew what the smell was, but once they turned on the stove, that immediate smell of rotting meat, it really hit me hard. And I don't know, I think a lot of things have been happening in my life these past couple weeks that have been telling me that your body is just not at a place where it's willing to digest meat the same way it used to. And I really have to listen to what my body is actually saying, all the way down to the senses that I'm experiencing. And honestly, I haven't really looked back. I already have a pretty heavy vegetable fruit diet anyway. A lot of my meals were heavy in fruit, heavy in veggies, heavy in grains. And I just realized how much meat I was actually consuming in my regular life, and realized that the removal of meat was not as hard as it may sound. So it may be hard for someone who predominantly consumes meat on a regular basis. I particularly don't, not because there was no moral reason behind me not consuming as much meat as I had in the past. It was originally, it started with, I cannot consume this much meat in a day in order to get to the specific amount of protein that I needed in a day. I just couldn't do 6 ounces and 7 ounces of chicken in a day because it was a lot for me to consume. My stomach I was uncomfortable. I was full beyond full, and I almost felt like I was force feeding myself. Same thing with the beef. It was just too much. So I ended up dropping down the amount of calories that I consume in a day in order to feel comfortable and not to feel like I was overeating. So that's kind of where it started. And I'm not mad at it. I don't know if this will be a permanent lifestyle change, but I will say I no longer want to feel the heartburn that I experience when I consume meat. I don't like to have negative feelings or bad feelings in terms of physical feelings when it comes to consuming my food. And I am so in tune with my body that I instantly notice a change in how my body is either digesting something or how it's responding to certain foods. And I'm just at a place in my life where I'm so tired of having gastrointestinal issues, and if I need to eliminate something in order to reduce that experience, I'm willing to do it. The other thing I wanted to mention, so my trip to Georgia was a really good work trip. Unfortunately, I got sick. I may have been sick before I left. I'm not entirely sure. I had experienced a small amount of irritation in my throat the night before, and I thought it was something that I had eaten that caused a little bit of irritation, but then I realized on my way home, I realized when I got home from my work trip that it was not a little irritation, because that irritation never actually went away. The moment I noticed is when I woke up on Thursday and I could not get out of bed. That was when I realized, oh, I'm not dehydrated. I'm not experiencing like irritation from eating hot food. I am sick. I carried my sanitizer, I carried my gloves, I carried my mask with me. But when you're traveling, sometimes it's not as easy. Honestly, I couldn't tell you how I got COVID. I really try to be cautious when I'm out and about in the world, and people are just living their lives, and you can't fault them for that. You can't fault people for living their lives. And so it's just difficult to figure out how to reduce your chances. I hope to God I never get sick again. But anyway, so my trip was really good work-wise. I had a really good time in terms of working and accomplishing a lot of the work goals that I had set out to accomplish. The day I left, the event actually ended really, really early. And so I had all this time between me checking out of my hotel and going to the airport. So my flight was at 9 o'clock in the evening, and it was 11 o'clock checkout. So I had all this time. So I decided I was going to pick a place to have lunch, and I was just going to relax and literally just read my book and do a little to nothing. And so I went to get lunch, and I saw that there was this spa next door. And so I went next door just to kind of see what they had going on. It was this excellent experience. It was, I can go a little bit more in detail in another video, but the experience was absolutely transformative in a way that I felt my soul really needed. But I think what I came out of that experience, and something that hasn't necessarily left me in terms of my mind and my spirit, is that there are a lot of people out there hurting, and I can feel that energy as I say it. There are a lot of women specifically out there hurting, and it was just a really good experience to love on other women in a way that wasn't judgmental. I realized the value in taking care of yourself and the value of having high priorities when it comes to self-care. And I want to say this to not offend anyone, but I want to say this because I think this will provide growth to someone who is really struggling, or someone who doesn't realize that they are struggling and they're standing still in a place that is not conducive for happiness or for their development or mental state. But it's not enough just to talk to people in order to figure out what your problems are, or in order to get better. It's not enough to lean on a spouse or a partner and expect them to help you grow in a way that is positive. Right? Those things are good, but my experience was that that is not enough when it comes to making real change in a way that's positive and doesn't hurt people. And I say this with a specific event in mind. There was a young lady I met, really nice. Actually met a lot of young ladies. And one particular woman, she was struggling because she was dating a married man, and she knew she wanted to let go of that relationship, but didn't possess either the language or the energy or the why, or even the action, or even the esteem to walk away from something she knows was destructive. And I was immediately triggered by her, naturally so, but I decided in that moment, it's not about me. It's not even about her. It's about the experience that women have together and the experience that we never really get, that we need. And one woman shared that she handed her the Bible and said, "Here's how you solve all your problems." And I just thought, that's putting more responsibility on the person who's clearly lost. And I thought, it's not enough to read your Bible. It's not enough to know scripture. It's whatever your faith is, your spiritual journey, your faith, your beliefs, those things, that takes us up to a point. There is a responsibility we have to make decisions in our lives based on that. Again, you may not be religious, that's totally fine, but this was this woman's advice to the young lady. And I just couldn't help but notice that, you got to go beyond just having conversations. You have to go beyond reading the Bible. You really need to talk to a professional as well, or incorporate some sort of therapy that will help you. There are all sorts of therapy. Talk therapy is the most important, but it cannot just be read and talk to people who are unqualified to give you any advice. And I really just want to share that message with you all, that we are doing our very best to live in this world, and to live the best life possible. But if you're wanting to make a change in your life, you may have to look beyond the obvious in order to make that change. You can't rely on someone else to tell you what you want. You can't rely on someone else to tell you how to feel. What you can rely on is the commitment to find out what is important to you, and the commitment to live a life that you can be proud of. I'm gonna end this very complicated vlog here. Thank you for watching. I hope that this video brought you peace. I also hope that this video really shares the realness of me, and not some fake, pretentious, verbose appearance of who I am. I hope this is a reflection of who I really am, and I really hope that you can see that. I'm gonna finish my tea and my biscuit and listen to this rain. I hope you have a great day, and thanks for watching.